Have you always felt like the world didn't quite fit? Like you were born into the wrong time, the wrong system, or maybe even the wrong body? Like your light was too much for some people to handle? Maybe they told you to calm down, to stop dreaming, to stop feeling so much. But listen closely now. You weren't too sensitive. You weren't too weird. You were chosen, and you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to awaken something ancient, something sacred. But there was a reason you were silenced, a reason you forgot who you are, and a reason this message is finding you now. Because heaven never forgot, not for a moment. Your soul has always carried the mark of a messenger, a healer, a truth teller. But someone, something tried to silence your soul, and still, here you are. Hearing this, feeling that flicker deep in your chest, that whisper that says, I remember. Stay with me, beloved one. This isn't a coincidence. This is your reactivation. They told you the path to happiness was out there, that if you just followed the rules, kept your head down, stayed in line, you'd find your place. But your soul was never made for lines. It was made for light. You were taught to question your gifts, to mistrust your feelings, to silence your voice. They said, stop being dramatic, grow up, be realistic. Don't be so emotional. But what if your emotions were messengers? What if your dreams were instructions? What if your sensitivity was your superpower? They tried to convince you that you were broken, that something in you needed fixing. But it wasn't you that was broken. It was the world that forgot how to see the divine. So your light made them uncomfortable, because deep down it reminded them of what they had lost. You weren't rejected because you were unworthy. You were rejected because you carried truth. Truth that rattled the cages people didn't even know they lived in. So they silenced you. With shame, with fear, with distraction. But here's what they didn't expect. You remembered anyway. Not all at once, but in dreams, in flashes, in stillness. And now you're awakening, and everything they tried to bury is starting to rise. There is a group of souls you won't read about in history books. You won't hear their names in temples or cathedrals. They've walked quietly, felt deeply, and waited patiently. They are the forgotten ones, but not forgotten by heaven. Forgotten by a world that wasn't ready for them. You might be one of them. Not because you're better, but because you were sent here with something rare, a frequency, a remembering, a light. But your activation was delayed, and you know it, don't you? You felt it in the near misses, the closed doors, the ache that wouldn't go away. You were hidden, not to punish you, but to protect you. Because the timing had to be perfect. There were people you needed to meet, lessons you had to carry, a pain you had to survive. So your voice would carry weight when the time came. And that time is now. The world is shifting, the veil is thinning, truth is rising, and your soul is rising with it. That ache inside you, it's not emptiness, it's space. Finally making room for who you were always meant to become. How do you know if you're one of the chosen ones? Not chosen by ego, but chosen by spirit. There are signs, subtle at first, but undeniable once you learn to see. Sign 1. You've always felt different. Even as a child, you watched, you wondered, you felt things no one else seemed to notice. Sign 2. You feel everything too deeply. Crowds overwhelm you, you sense moods without a word being spoken. You've cried over things others brushed off because your soul hears what others ignore. Sign 3. You wake between 3 and 4 a.m., not by accident. That's the spiritual hour of alignment, when heaven speaks to those ready to remember. Sign 4. You've been delayed but never denied. What felt like rejection was protection. Your timing had to be divine. Sign 5. You see repeating numbers, feel watched in stillness, hear your name in silence. Those are not coincidences. They are activations. Sign 6. You've always longed for home, but you don't know where it is. That ache isn't about a place. It's your soul remembering where it came from. Sign 7. you're hearing this message right now. That's the clearest sign of all. Because your soul is saying, yes, I remember. So, why were you hidden? Why did life delay you? Why did your voice go quiet? Because your timing was sacred. Some souls awaken early, but they burn out quickly. You were never meant to be a spark. You were meant to be a lighthouse. And lighthouses are not built overnight. You were carved by experience, shaped by contrast, tempered in silence, so that when the moment came, you would know why your light matters. Your detours weren't punishment, they were preparation. You weren't ready then, and the world wasn't ready for you. But now, it is. This is your time. Beloved one, you didn't find this message by accident. It is your soul remembering. You don't need to become someone else. You only need to become yourself. You are not broken. You are not lost. You are awakening. And when you say yes, even in the quietest way, you begin to rise. Say yes now. Inside. In your own way. Let this be your return. When you say yes, things shift. The noise quiets. The fear softens. And peace returns. Synchronicities appear. New people come in. Doors open. Because you're aligned, you stop chasing, you start receiving, you stop apologizing, you start embodying. You become a living permission slip for others to remember who they are too. And that, beloved, is how light spreads. Now take a breath, not just with your lungs, but with your soul. Let these words settle in. You were never forgotten, only hidden. And now, the invitation is open. If you're ready, say these words aloud or within. I remember who I am. I receive my timing. I allow the light in me to rise. This is your moment. Let it ripple. Let it anchor. You are rising now. If something stirred inside you, this message was meant for you. Subscribe to stay connected. This channel is your sacred space to return to. And if this touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to remember. And in the comments below, type I remember. Let that be your echo, your activation, your return. You are not alone. And you never were. Until next time, stay in the light and trust your timing.